Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of All Hands, the new warehouse. I'm Kevin, if you didn't know. So we have All Hands this week. And what's been going on this week? We got some great podcast episodes. We're getting some things together going into next year. We've been doing some planning around trade shows. We'll be at Manifest in February. We'll be at Modex, of course, down in Atlanta in March. And we're just talking to the Retail Supply Chain and Logistics Expo. We'll be there too in May as well. So definitely we are working on putting together a comprehensive list of supply chain, warehouse, fulfillment conferences. We get asked all the time, what conferences should we go to? So we're going to put together a nice list for you guys and get that together. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks here, we'll be able to share that for you, and hopefully it'll be a useful and resourceful tool, because I do get asked that question a lot. So this week on All Hands, we are going to be talking to UgoWork. We're going to be talking to JF over there and Julien. They just released brand new telemetrics, UgoPilot software that's looking at your energy consumption and fleet utilization from the perspective of your batteries and the power that you're utilizing within that fleet. It's really, really cool solution. So happy to be able to share it to you. We talk about the concept behind it. We also talk about the platform itself. We get to see demo and see the actual platform, so you'll be able to see that here on this episode. So really excited about this, and really happy for the guys over at UgoWork, because this is a really cool looking product. I will say user interface was a big consideration, which you'll see, and which we talk about in the conversation as well. So for today's safety tip, this week's safety tip, we are going to go with do not block fire extinguishers within your warehouse, right? Very important. Not only because if OSHA comes in and sees that fire extinguisher blocked, that's a huge fine, huge violation. But if something happens and you need to access that fire extinguisher, then you will need to get stuff out of the way, and you don't want to have to do that, right? So when you have your fire extinguishers, you want to make sure that the area around them is marked out clearly, so that people understand that this is an area that cannot have product, pallets, shelving, whatever the case may be in front of it. The fire extinguisher needs to be accessible at all times. Easy way to mark it out: utilize some Mighty Line floor tape. They're a sponsor of the new warehouse, and they have great tape. I've used tons of it for lots of projects that I've worked on to be able to do similar things like that. Mark out areas where things shouldn't be, mark out areas where things should be, all those different things. So make sure that you're not blocking those fire extinguishers. Make sure they're accessible. Hopefully you never have to use them, but in case you do, you don't want to have to move product or anything out of the way to be able to get to them. So let's dive into our main segment, which is with UgoWork, as we learn about the UgoPilot. Hey guys, I'm here and I am joined with the UgoWork team. I have JF Marchand here and Julien Millérioux, practicing my French here. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk about UgoWork. We've had UgoWork on the podcast a while ago, but they have a new product solution that they've come out with called UgoPilot, which is all about telemetrics, energy within your operation and within your shop, within the warehouse, or around all the forklift batteries that you're utilizing. So they previously had battery solutions, still have battery solutions, but now they've taken it to the next level with data collection. So we're going to learn more about their new product, UgoPilot, here today on the show. And we're also going to get a demo, hands-on demo, which is a great thing. I love to see products in action and solutions in action. But first, I think let's get a little background on UgoWork for maybe people that are not familiar, haven't heard of UgoWork before. So why don't JF or Julien give us a little brief overview of what UgoWork is?
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having us. So yeah, UgoWork started commercially in 2018. So we've had lithium-ion batteries for forklifts on the market since then. And from day one, our batteries have been communicating with a cloud. So we gather data from day one, And yeah, basically what we're unveiling now is a user-friendly platform for our customers to have access to that information in real time. So it's a transition. It's a logical transition from the work we've been doing since the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think data is such a key point within our operations and within our industry. We see kind of everywhere now is visibility for this, visibility for that. So it makes sense. Why don't we have visibility into the energy consumption that we're utilizing within our fleets and our forklifts, our equipment, machinery, and have a great way to be able to see that. So very, very excited to see you go pilot today. But I think you guys have a little presentation you want to share to give us a little kind of background and foundational understanding of how this has kind of been developed and where this came from. So let's take a look at that now.
I'm JF. I'm marketing director with UgoWork, and
I'm Julien. I'm product manager both for software and hardware product.
so yeah, we'll be touching on what is telemetry. We'll talk about the UgoPilot solution and how it's different to what's out there. And also, we want to talk about our expertise. So we have a specific role in the company, which is a customer success manager. So we'll explain what that is and what it does for our customers. And finally, we have a few use cases that illustrate, like in real life, what those do.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So telemetry, I think it's a more and more popular word. It's a buzzword, sort of. So I'll first explain what it is and give you an overview of where it belongs in our market, in the material handling market. So this is a general definition of telemetry. So basically, technology and communication systems that send information remotely to another location. And then that data is then analyzed and it's used to control whatever has to be controlled. So yeah, you can think about applications like weather monitoring or space exploration or vehicle tracking, automation. All these technologies use telemetry. So that's the broad definition. Um, if we look at it this way, you have basically a device on which there's one or many sensors. In the battery space, those sensors usually measure stuff like voltage, current, temperature. That data is then encoded and transmitted so that the information is secure. It is sent to a remote device on
Mm.
which there's a receiver. That receiver then collects that information, transcripts the encoded information, processes that information, and from the processed information, it can do live feedback to the device. So that's a possibility to make some adjustments for either safety or increased performance.
Right.
Um, and finally, there's two other things that the processor does. It presents the information to the user with the UI interface. So by showing reports or showing a dashboard or whatever,
Mhm.
and the information is also stored, so it can be accessed later on, and it can be used for further analysis. And all of this is encrypted for data security. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what a telemetry system does.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good visual to understand that, and I think too, like let's put a definition around, from this is obviously like from a technical standpoint of like how the flow of that data is captured and then is put out and put into I guess a nice package to be able to see that
Yeah.
from someone who is like an operations manager or someone that's on the floor that's dealing with the fleet every day.
hmm
Tell us a little bit kind of what does telemetry mean for them? What's the impact for them, or the improvement for their daily work, or their work that they do?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked, because that next slide is examples of
There we go.
real. Yeah, it's not even arranged. Yeah, so these are solutions that are out there in
Mhm.
the material handling industry. So you probably are aware of some of them. The major truck OEMs almost all have a solution, and then there's also software providers like Gem1 or Sierra AI who
Mhm.
have such devices. So these can do many things. They can track personnel and vehicle movement. So they can ensure that the people who are using the equipment are trained, that they have the proper certifications. So it's kind of a badge identification. Um, they can also track data such as speed, acceleration, deceleration, lift height, load weight. So all for safety and performance applications. And from the voice of customer that we gathered, there are two main applications where really
Mhm.
people make the move and decide to invest in such systems. The first one being shock detection. So
Okay.
these devices are equipped with accelerometers, and if a driver hits a racking or a wall or another forklift, then that will put the truck into either a limp mode or stop the truck so that a manager can make an intervention. So
Mhm.
so this there's a big ROI on preventing those collisions to happen. And the other popular application is driver identification and inspection checklist. So basically, whenever a driver comes to the truck, they have to log in and then they have to do a routine check of the truck to make sure everything is fine before starting the work.
Interesting. So now these, I mean, we've talked to a couple of these companies on the podcast previously, so we're familiar with what they do. So tell us a little bit. I mean, does your new solution? I mean, does that interact with these? Is it in addition to these, or is it a replacement for these? Where does the kind of relationship come there?
Yeah, I would say it's complementary
Okay.
because these usually don't have access to the battery data or to a certain extent they can have access, but
Interesting.
more minimal. So in the battery space, you have access to other stuff. And there's another buzzword that we hear a lot is a power study.
Yes, I've heard that a lot.
So
Yeah.
you heard that a lot. So there's no clear definition of what that is really. And a lot of the battery OEMs claim that with power study they can give a lot of information and custom make solutions for you. So in those, there's a battery state of charge monitoring, there's a battery health monitoring so that you can extend the life of the product. Also, predictive maintenance, so you can detect signals that will guide you to, okay, well, we should probably do something on that unit, otherwise it will fail. Um, Thermal management, this is more of a safety issue. Obviously, with lithium, we don't want to let that slip. Also, fleet management, so making sure you have enough trucks or not too much in your fleet. So by managing the energy pool and managing the energy need, you can
Hmm.
kind of draw the line between what's the ideal amount of trucks you need. Charging management also is a good one, and energy efficiency analysis and safety monitoring. So these are all the main categories that the other guys with the trucks don't necessarily have access to.
Right.
So I would say they're complementary.
Interesting. And I guess for kind of an understanding, baseline understanding, I mean, not having telemetry or a telematics solution in place, or utilizing something like a a UgoPilot, which we're going to talk a little more in depth about. But I mean, not having something like that, I mean, how would people understand and get this kind of information previously, or is there even previous access to this type of information without a solution in place?
I'm afraid not. Um, People are left a bit in the dark with
Right.
those kind of systems. So yeah, that's the value we bring, and I think you had many people on the show talking about the benefits of lithium ion.
Right.
But if you don't have anything to measure the change between the previous power system and the new one, it's really difficult to measure what the gap is and take action on that gap and capture the benefit. So data is really an accelerator of the return on investment for a solution that is baseline more expensive when we talk about lithium. But the ROI can be materialized really quickly if you know where you're going.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting because it's something that's like, all this data obviously is floating around and, wherever it may be. But if there's not a way to capture it and give you those insights, then it's certainly a gap within your operation, your company overall as a whole, that you're missing out on potential improvements or understanding. I mean, even looking at some of the things you have on the screen here, I mean, like something is like fleet management. I mean, not fully being able to understand the
Yeah,
utilization and, do you have the right power solutions in this case? You could be leaving a lot of money on the table, or potentially, having trucks in service that you actually don't really need, right? So
exactly.
a lot of insights that can be gained there. So very interesting.
Yeah, and I can tell you 100% of our customers want to know that. If they have too many trucks on the floor, they want to know. And basically, the advice that I can give to the listeners here is to make sure that those power studies or whatever is provided by the OEMs is providing insights. So here it's a comical image of the Matrix, but basically you can have like stuff like that, which is current through the battery on 24 hours. You can have state of charge over time. You can have average temperature of the pack. So this is all very nice and sophisticated, but if you don't have something to interpret the data and come up with insights, then you're not going to do anything with that. So, so you'll see in the demo, but the UgoPilot solution is really making the bridge between those raw data and something that can be useful in an operation, because our customers are not energy experts. They're not battery experts. They're experts in moving pallets or moving goods. So we're making sure that they can do that without any interruption. And yeah, we provide.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's such a key there. Like what you just said is that, we take this and we look at, like even these charts here and talking about the matrix, right? I mean, it's, there's charts, like if I'm an operations manager, supervisor, and I'm looking at this, like you said, like I'm not an energy expert. Like what does this mean to me, right? So being able to give that interpretation and a way that you can make decisions and make changes within your operation that are needed easily, I think is such a huge thing and such a big tool that can be able to be utilized within an operation.
Yeah, yeah, because it all goes down to the application, and at the end of the day, the customer might not even need lithium ion for their application. So we rather be upfront about it and say, okay, this is the analysis we've made, and we think that you're good with probably your current solution, and that's all right. So it's important to get that level of insight to make the right decision, because there's a lot of cost involved otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll pass it on to Julien.
Yeah, I'm very proud to introduce UgoWork's new battery management platform. So UgoWork has been collecting data from batteries since day one, as JF already said, and it has been used to bring value to our customer. But so far, it hasn't been that easy for them to access those data, and that's why we want to do today. So what we discover is most of operation managers don't have a clear picture of their operation. Some claim that they use their truck 2,000 hours a year, when in fact it's twice less. So UgoPilot provides customer with better knowledge so that they can produce ROI by making the right decision in their fleet management. For instance, we can reduce fleet size. We can also reduce risk and uncertainty by adding predictability. And we'll also want to generate lowest cost for an energy solution by maximizing the useful life of assets. So because of all the analysis we can do with all the raw data, we'll give access to the customer to a lot more interesting stuff through the portal.
And to complement on that, I said it at the beginning. We've been collecting data since day one with all of
Right.
our products, but this was kept and delivered to the customer on a monthly or weekly basis in reports and things like that. So the big shift now is that we're making that available real time to all of our customers.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's such a great thing because there is. I think we talked about this a little earlier, but there's such a push in the industry for further visibility and data and capturing and providing these insights. But I think the one kind of overarching thing about that entirely is having that real time visibility, right? Which is so important because with things moving so fast within our industry, and especially if you're running like an e-commerce operation or something like that, it's constant. Like there's never really downtime to take like data that's a week, a month old, and then try to make corrections from that. A lot of times, like it's already too late, right? To make
Yeah.
a change and see that maybe you can make a change for the long term, but to go back and try and capture what you just missed for a month or something is not really the ideal state. So the fact that you guys are doing this real time, I think, is such a very, very important thing to point out.
And yeah, we like to talk about the loop, and basically
Right.
UgoPilot wants to complete that loop. So the first you have the forklift, then the battery. Our UgoWork battery is connecting through the cloud 24/7. So everywhere in facility we can know what the battery is doing. So basically what the truck is doing as well. Then we'll have the charging station. It's a charging infrastructure, all the data collected and all the insights, thanks to our energy experts. And those insights are built to allow the customer to take some actions.
Mm.
But like we mentioned earlier, raw data can only get you so far. UgoPilot is about closing that loop from battery and charging infrastructure to data, insight, and eventually the action that make a real difference for fleet managers and all the company.
All right, so it's very interesting to see that presentation, and definitely exciting stuff to understand kind of the baseline of where UgoPilot is coming into play, and kind of that data collection, and also the need for those insights, not only to have insights but also to have them in a real time for your customers, and really understand what's going on within your fleet, not only from just the energy perspective but from the utilization perspective, all those different things to give you great insights, as we talked about, to be able to potentially reduce your fleet size, which is huge. I mean, a truck is not cheap, right? So, I mean,
No.
there's definitely cost savings you can
A
find there.
battery is not cheap either.
Yeah, battery is not cheap. Everything surrounding the forklift is not cheap, right? So anytime you can shrink that size, or have better utilization, figure out a better way to handle that, is certainly a win for your business overall. So really interested to dive now into kind of a live pilot here with Julien and see what this user interface actually looks like.
Yep. So just to begin with, for sure, each user will have a dedicated access which is secured. We will want to make sure that all those data is owned by the user. So he will have to use his email and to type his password to be able to jump in the platform. So the first view is a dashboard that show you many things, but I will start by the fleet status. So if you remember, we talked about live data and the fact that our battery is connected 24/7 through the whole facility. So what you are seeing here is all the fleet, all the trucks available in the warehouse 1, 2, 3, and then you can have some interesting stuff. So for example, some alert will see what's in those alerts right after that. You can sort per vehicle ID. You can see the battery status. One more time, you can sort in that section, and the remaining autonomy. So remaining autonomy is quite an important thing because basically customers are used to talk about state of charge. We are able to convert that state of charge based on the energy consumption of each truck with the remaining autonomy. So thanks to that, it will be able to know, okay, is my truck will be able to pass through all the shift of the day, and when you will have to go to charge the battery.
So we transfer to do the automotive parallel. We give the remaining mileage instead of remaining liters in the tank, which is not really useful.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, I think too. I mean, I want to call out too, like just initially. I mean, looking at the user interface. I mean, the new warehouse. We like to say that warehouses are sexy, but I'll say like this user interface. I mean, it is super sleek. It's sexy, definitely to look at. I'm curious, how important was the user interface, not only from looking good perspective, but easy to interpret perspective when developing this solution.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah, what we did is that we ran a beta for the last few months. So we shared those beta with users, and thanks to all the voice of customer we made, we improved a lot all the interface. So basically, the minute the user do not understand what they are seeing, we just fixed it to allow them to understand really quickly. As we already said, they are not that expert in energy, and we don't want them to become an expert in energy. So we want to show them the correct info at the correct place to just let them continue their dedicated activity.
Yeah, I think that's so great because I think sometimes at least traditionally in our industry, when we look at software solutions or interactive solutions, like it's very kind of old and dated looking in a sense, which doesn't make sense, right? Because we as individuals, as we look at what we use every day in our consumer lives, right? I mean, everything is very intuitive. User interface is very important. So why can't we see that within our business side as well? So it really looks good. So I really wanted to call that out there for you guys. But it looks like that you have some alerts pulled up here. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So in each truck, you also have some more information. So what is the type of truck? What is his ID? If you want to know more about the battery, you can also do so thanks to that. You have access to the manual. So we want to gather all the information at the very same place, just to allow a customer to have access to all the question of the UgoWork product. So based on the battery, charging station, UgoPilot as well. So it's all available in the platform thanks to the Need Help section here. So let's jump in one more time in the dashboard. So here you can have access in real time to all the active fleet. We categorize all those trucks per remaining autonomy, and the same for inactive fleet, where you can see all the fleet status. So if I click, for example, in a charging category, I will get back to the fleet status with a filter view of all the trucks that are actually charging or full charge. And for a fleet manager perspective, it will be helpful for him to just understand, okay, this truck is ready to go, so you can go ahead and start your shift with this truck. On the other widget of the dashboard, so there is the fleet usage, just to give you a good understanding of what truck is the high runner and what is the low runner. You can also compare your own activity with the rest of your group or with the rest of industry. That allow each customer to optimize their way of doing, and just to see, okay, I'm like a good player in the industry, so that's quite good.
We don't give away names, but we have like data from all of our customers, so that's what allows us to provide these insights. And then we'll talk about it later, but with the customer success managers, we can make strides to be able to get to the industry leader level.
Interesting. So where you see the benchmark and it's saying versus industry average versus industry leader, that's looking at kind of the broad perspective of all your customers and their data and going against that. I think that's pretty great. Yeah.
Let's say we have 20 3PL customers, then all that data can be congregated and used to generate those figures.
Interesting. I think that's really great because especially, when you start to look at benchmarking and KPIs and things like that, you try to see like what would make me best in class. And this certainly is like an easy way to try and figure that out from this perspective. So that's really cool that you put that in there.
And what led to that was some of our customers have many sites. So first they wanted to compare how they did from site to site. And eventually they said, oh, I wonder how I do compared to like the rest.
Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, you can see some other widgets, so energy consumption and CO2 reduction. In the future, we'll also want to develop more and more widgets based on what the user are really need. But one specific feature that I'm pretty excited to show is the notification feature. So as you saw, you have access to all the real-time data, but we all know that a fleet manager will not open the portal all day long and will just watch data moving in the portal. So what we did is create some notifications. So each user will have the capacity to create his own notification, so to make them fit to his own reality. For example, he will have access to remaining autonomy. So if he wants to be notified when a truck is going below 45 minutes of remaining autonomy, he will be able to do so. He will also be able to select his own criticity. So just to make it fit to his own reality one more time, he will be able to select the sites, the dedicated sites of this notification, and the channel as well. So the notification will be available in app for sure, and also thanks to an email and thanks to a text message. So the user can be down the road, not live in the facility, but he will be able to be notified, hey, by the way, this truck is going below 45 minutes of autonomy. You may probably want to take some action to avoid any operating interruption.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's such a great thing too, because it's like you said. I mean, you can't necessarily sit in front of the dashboard all day and just watch the data happening, right? And a lot of times, if data, is flowing in and things are happening and everything is good, like there's not necessarily a reason to look at it, right, all the time. So being able to call out when you have issues is really where that important factor comes in, and being able to harness and utilize that data and find the power within the data, and being able to have that type of flexible notification, whether it's through the app, email, or even text message, I think is so important. And I'm curious, I mean, one application that I can think that would be great for this is where you have situations where it's end of shift and everybody's supposed to charge up, make sure that the fleet is charged for the next day. I mean, could you set up a notification that would tell you like, okay, at end of shift, like this is a machine that's not plugged in, and the battery is low, and avoid having that kind of conflict in the morning where first shift is saying that second shift didn't plug in the machine last night, and now we can't work. I mean, is that something that you could set up through this notification system?
Yeah, we will really soon. Basically, actually, you can already select the notification when a truck is inactive. So basically, if a truck is inactive for too long, that means that he's not moving and he's not charging as well. So there is a mischarging opportunity. We also want to develop the fact that the user will be able to select all the schedule of each shift, just to raise some flag when it's break time and some truck are not charging. So it will be available really soon. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's such a great thing because it gives you that further visibility, and it takes away the need to, like, at the end of the shift, does somebody have to walk and make sure that everything got plugged in, right? Versus like, okay, if something didn't get plugged in, then I can get an alert. Versus having to take that time, and it reduces the amount of time you have to spend checking something that might not be an issue at all, right? So if you just get the call out of that issue, I think it's such a great thing and such a powerful tool to be able to have these types of notifications.
Mm-hmm. And then you also have the communication loss. So that means that, for example, in some freezer, the Wi-Fi connection is not that well working. So we want to just alert the customer that the communication is not working, and without any communication, we are blind again. So we really need to improve all the connectivity through the warehouse. So it's a way to show the customer that they will probably have to have some Wi-Fi hotspot all around the facilities to avoid that kind of situation.
Interesting.
One of another feature of the portal is the reporting section. So since day one, all our batteries are like sent with an energy expert. So we have in the company as we call customer success managers. Each customer success manager is dedicated to a very specific customer, and it will allow the customer to ask from specific dashboard to be able to track what you really want to track. So since day one, our energy expert sends some PDF reports through email, but now thanks to UgoPilot, the user will have access whenever he wants to all those reporting, and you will be able to select a specific snapshot of time just to check if there is some issue between that day and that day.
And just to add on this, these reports are custom for each customer. It's not just a library. So it's really custom made for each customer and their application, the KPIs they want to reach.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And if I look at like this report right here, I mean, I see that it's telling me my fleet usage, right? My fleet size is 21 and I've only used 17. I mean, is that kind of where it comes into play that like, hey, I could potentially reduce my fleet size here?
Exactly. I'm pretty happy that you understood that in only 15 seconds. So that means that the report is showing the good stuff. But yeah, basically, you said you said everything. What we want to show here is that, hey, by the way, your fleet size may be oversized for this dedicated period. So you may start to think about relocate some trucks or maybe reduce your fleet size. So that the kind of thing we want to highlight through the reporting section. And then, as JF said, we'll have the capacity to adapt the reporting and to customize it for every customer. So that's a really cool feature.
And if you go down to the one just below, on this, no, the other
This
one.
one?
Yeah. So on this one, you can see basically that the distribution of the workload is not even on the whole fleet.
Right.
So you could think, okay, those last two ones are like 14 and 18% of the time active. So these might be the ones that could be relocated. But then the customer has its own reality. There might be one of those equipped with a clamp that they cannot relocate because it's
Right.
used just a little percentage of the time. So there's always an exchange between the customer success manager and the customer to make the right decision. But because we don't make the decisions, we just put the information in front of the customer, and eventually they make the decision.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very interesting though to see that even in the example that you said of, maybe it's a clamp truck and you have that because you only get, deliveries that need a clamp truck periodically. But it's still interesting to see, like, from a business perspective, like, what is the actual utilization of us doing that? And if you're like a 3PL, for example, you can kind of weigh and see, like, is it really, worth it for us in the long term to keep this client if we're only utilizing these resources, and we're paying X amount to maintain and keep them going, to be able to do that. So it really gives you that opportunity to dissect and really understand all those different kind of buckets and compartmentalization of your business to be able to make those better decisions and have that action. So really, really interesting demo there, and really interesting platform. I mean, it looks great. I mean, I love the colors, and I love, like, the sleek, the black to it and everything. I mean, and very interactive, very easy to interpret. As you mentioned, I was able to interpret the one chart in 15 seconds there. So I think that means it's working, right? So very interesting stuff. So I think you want to tell us too a little bit about these customer success managers, and tell us a little bit about how that works, and how that pairs with this UgoPilot and some of the data that you guys are extracting.
Yeah.
And just before that, just want to add that everything I showed is available online. We call that basically a software as a service. So you do not have to install something on your laptop. You can connect and log in through all the device you have. So basically, it will fit on a cell phone, on a tablet, or on your laptop as well. Access is granted to individual, and level of permission can be customized. So that means that some guys can have access to a dedicated site. Some other guys can only have access to the fleet status and not on the reporting section. So everything is customizable, we are really proud to have all those flexibility through the portal.
Very interesting.
And we did the general demo, but who is it addressed to? I think first the operations people. These guys, they need the equipment to be running all the time, so they need to have real-time information. So the live fleet status, that what we call track, is really important to them, and also getting those instant notifications so that they can make actions and give feedback to the operators. And that's one thing that we didn't really look into the platform, but they need to have access to knowledge base, and also be able to call in for help if required. So they can do that through the platform. Then you have the other guys who are in the offices upstairs, who are doing the management. So it's also addressed to them. These guys will look more at the dashboards. They want to know how they're doing right now compared to last year, how they are doing compared to the other sites in their group, to industry leaders. And they also want to be acting on the insights that we provide with the reporting. So these are the features that interest these guys. And finally, we sometimes forget about the forklift dealers, but at least in our case, we interact a lot with the forklift dealers because they provide the whole solution,
Right.
including forklift and battery. And they are frontline with their customers. So they need to be able to advise, suggest feedback, improvement opportunities. So we grant access to the dealers to the information from their customer base. So they're not in the dark when it comes to providing feedback, and obviously we keep them in the loop with the work that we do with our customers.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's a,
yeah.
oh,
and
go ahead.
and just to finish up on them, they also become more well versed into the technology, so they can support their customers with the knowledge base and whatever is needed for remote and on-field intervention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great to see too, like the different parts of the spectrum that the solution hits, and who, it really benefits. And, I think it's great that it can go from, that that at the moment picture for, like you said, from people that are on the floor, from the operations perspective, and then, zoom out, see the bigger picture, maybe of that overall fleet utilization that we looked at, from a management perspective, and then from that dealer perspective as well, to be able to give even further support to their customers that have, purchased these items, and have these solutions in place. I think it's a win-win all the way around, to be able to see from all these different perspectives, and harness this data in a way that's beneficial to everybody.
Yeah, and what's nice about that is that it kind of creates three different roadmaps for product development to be able to answer to the needs of all of them. Some areas will overlap, but in the
Mm,
end, all of them will get benefits. So it's really 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 nice.
right.
Yeah, I wanted to touch base on customer success managers. So this is a role that we have within UgoWork. So these guys are really important to our customers. So basically, we said at the beginning, we've been gathering data from day one.
Right.
So these guys have been creating those reports. So this report right there has been around for a very long time. Now we just make it available through the platform. So it's not a newly invented thing. And the customer success managers basically get the feedback from the end users. Uh, they get very intimate. They
Mm,
get into what their corporate objectives are, and they try to find solutions to help them achieve those goals with energy data and battery data. So that's their job basically. They
mm.
have uh, they have nothing to sell. They just want to make the customer happy and keep them with UgoWork and growing with UgoWork.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's such a great component to have to the business too, especially as, we talked about earlier, is, people that are looking at these types of things are not energy experts, right? They're not in the energy field or the energy
Yeah,
sector, right? They're in the business of, like you said, moving pallets and material handling. So, having someone to tap into, and ask, what does this really mean, or, how should I interpret this, or, how can I take this and make a better business decision around the energy that I'm utilizing. I think makes a lot of sense, and is definitely a great component and extension to have of that product.
yeah. And our customers are unanimous. They see a lot of value in getting a single point of contact who knows their operation, someone that they can book a meeting with to have a discussion and bounce ideas. And one thing that we didn't show, but that is in the portal, is insights. So it's basically
Okay.
stuff that these guys will type down, and it's basically a conclusion of whatever reporting was there and what happened in the last period of analysis. And this is really what the customers are telling us creates the most value to their operation.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. I think that makes so much sense to be able to do that. So now these insights are being generated by the customer success managers as they're looking at your data.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and especially too, like, it kind of takes away like having to reach out to somebody too if you want to see what's going on right now and there's an insight, then you can
Yeah.
take a look at that and say like, oh, okay, like this is being called out to me, like I should take a look at this and see if there's any action that I can take.
Yeah. And it's one of the main differentiators that we perceive compared to the other telemetry platforms that are out there, where you just subscribe to a license and you need to make the work yourself.
Yeah,
Uh, Having access to that expert allows you to really, yeah, minimize your time to benefit and mind your business and just get the insights you need.
yeah, absolutely. Very, very good stuff.
So quickly, I just can't have a few use cases
Sure.
from real customers. So on this one, basically, we're talking about a large food and beverage distributor in the northeastern Canada, and they made their transition from lead acid to lithium on a 4 to 5 year period.
Okay.
So they progressively replaced the old lead acid batteries by lithium. And throughout that period, they had an expansion in their warehouse. So they had a 60% increase to the square footage. They went from 100,000 square foot to 160. And typically, that means more racking, that means more pallets, and it would mean more trucks to move those devices.
Right.
And then with the analysis that we did, we gave them the confidence to not proportionally increase the fleet size, and in the end, it represents a roughly 31% productivity gain in terms of forklift per square foot. So they could have done that and realized that by themselves, but by having the data, it gave them really a proof and the confidence, and they could go to their management and say, look, we don't need that many trucks for a new facility. And it even accelerated the adoption to lithium.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, you can see here. I mean, it's almost like a 50 truck gap, right, between
Yeah,
going with the UgoWork and lithium ion versus a traditional like lead acid. It's
yeah.
pretty staggering savings there.
And it's not, I mean, any lithium solution could have provided that efficiency gain. We're not claiming
Yeah.
that it's just UgoWork, but with the data and the combination with the system, then we can get those gains.
Wow. Very impressive.
The other one, I'll leave it to Julien.
Yes, so in this example, we are talking of a major 3PL, and we want to illustrate the service capability. So here is a situation that happened and give a good idea. So at some point in time, an anomaly occurred with one of the internal chargers. So you can see on the screen there is for this battery 3 internal charger, and one of them goes down.
Yeah, and just for those who are not familiar, this is one distinct point from the UgoWork architecture. The chargers are embedded in the battery, so that's why we're making that point.
So yeah, as I said, we saw an anomaly through one of the charger that affect the battery because it could not charge at full power. So in the end, the battery is still working, the truck is still moving, but the battery, the charging capacity is not that important that it should be. So the operator didn't notice anything because, as I said, the battery was still performing. But thanks to the data and to our service team, the system flagged the issue, and an automatic notification was sent to our service team. So as you can see here, the truck is still running, but the charging power was not that important that it should be. And thanks to the data, we are able to be proactive on that service perspective, and to fix it before the user is just understanding that something is happening. So that was before UgoPilot. And now, thanks to the portal, we'll also be able to send an instant notification just saying, hey, by the way, we just check on the charger if there is some issue. A guy is already scheduled to replace that specific charger to just reset the charging power to 100%. So we will be able to just alert and to say to the customer, hey, by the way, we'll do something to fix an issue that you probably did not see.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because you get that insight into, like you said, something that's not necessarily totally understandable or visible by probably the end user, right? So it really makes a lot of difference there that you guys are able to have that insight and that data visibility to be able to address the issue before it's probably a bigger issue or even
Yeah.
known or visible to the point of this just doesn't work anymore, right? You kind of save that time and that loss there.
Yeah. So I got one last one.
All right.
This one is from a large automotive OEM, and basically they were caressing the idea of adding a third shift to their operation. So they were
Mhm.
running two shifts, but they were not sure if the current equipment, would allow them to do that. So they wanted to run a stress test um, of the current infrastructure and see if by adding a security factor and looking at the worst case scenario, they would be able to sustain the three shift operation.
Mm.
So what the customer success manager did is a simulation of the energy requirement based on the additional workload, considering average, worst, and best case scenarios. And then they applied that uh, so that there was no charging during the night, and see if the next morning there would be still enough charge to keep going. And we're talking about a 5 days consecutive workload, so they still had time during the weekend to regain that 100% charge. So by doing the simulation, basically we were able to overlay all those work shifts. And
Mm.
in the end, after 5 days, using the worst case scenario, there was still a safety factor of 25%. So
Yeah.
by providing that analysis to their management, they made the change. They added one more work shift without adding any more forklifts or
Oh, wow.
any more batteries. So right there, it's a huge return on investment for them. Again, they could have discovered that or tried that on their own, but it gave them the confidence to make the change thanks to data.
Yeah, I think that's such a great way to look at data and understand, like, just the power of it all when you're able to harness and analyze it in the correct way. I mean, I think it's a great thing to see, like, especially because I think, initially you think that, like, oh, we're gonna run, almost 24 hours a day, like constant, like, oh, we're definitely gonna need either more batteries we can swap, or we're going to need more forklifts to be able to maintain that power throughout the day.
Yeah.
But being able to see that analysis and really have the true picture of what's going on, I mean, you probably save them tons of money. And I'm sure, like, like you said, the ROI is there to be able to add that third shift and support and put that infrastructure in place to be able to do more business for their customers. So really, really an interesting thing and a great example of how that data can really play out and have such a huge positive impact.
Yeah. So that's all we had for you today. I hope that was enough, and that the listeners could really appreciate the value of this new addition to the UgoWork portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, JF and Julian, for sharing this with us today. It was great to see the platform. And I think, it's so smart to be able to take that data and put it in an interpretive state in a way that can easily create some actionable insights and make better business decisions in a quick way. And adding those alerts into, I think, is such a positive thing. So really, really great platform and great solution that's now out in the market. And definitely we'll be sending people to ugowork.com to learn more. So JF and Julian, thank you once again for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.